お願いします。
お願いします。
So if you're still in Seiza, that's good. Let's take the training right from here. Just coming up. Come up from the ground. So a phrase that you'll hear a lot in internal martial arts is ground force. And so instead of just using our body, especially our upper body, but even our body as a whole, not just using our body, but using natural forces, nature that we're connected to. What's the biggest thing we're connected to? Of course, the earth. So we work a lot with when we do weight shifting, for example, arm swings, we're always reminding ourselves to not just use the legs, the lower body, that's a good start, but to actually use the ground. So we talk about that a lot, shifting our weight, press our leg, our foot into the ground, and then the ground shifts the weight for us. But we want it, that's not just in certain moves, not just in weight shifting, not just in standing. So even just actually sitting here in Seiza or cross-legged, we want the ground to support us. So for that to work well, we need to align our structure, especially in this case, sitting down, it's mainly the spine. So that the ground force, the support of the ground can work through us, support us. Actually, as you get more into this and your awareness gets more refined, you can actually let the ground itself, the ground force, align and straighten your posture. So eventually, it's not even you having to straighten your posture and then see if you can tune into the support of the ground. It's actually the support of the ground itself that can straighten your posture, the ground force, and the ground path actually adjusts, corrects, and informs our posture and our movement. So a lot of times, especially in Seiza, we'll talk about adjusting our skeleton and our body. But again, to go deeper, see if you can now source that so that it's not just you doing that mechanically in a separate space, but you're letting the force or the support from the ground to align you. So at first, that's mainly basically the spine. So just sitting here relaxed, feel the support of the ground. So mainly that means feel the pressure on the bottom of your body. That pressure is the ground force. If you weigh 100 pounds, 200 pounds, then the earth or the floor or the ground is giving back to you 100 pounds or 200 pounds, whatever you weigh. I should ask Senpai if either of them know physics. But of course, if I weigh, let's say I weigh 150 pounds, and the earth isn't giving back, if the earth is giving back less than 150 pounds, what's going to happen to me? So Senpai, I want you to think about that. You don't have to answer unless you want to. I want you to legitimately, genuinely think about that question. If I weigh 150 pounds or whatever you weigh, you're probably thinking in kilograms, right? If I weigh 150 pounds and the earth is not giving back that much, it's giving back less than that, what's going to happen to me? I'm going to keep sinking deeper and deeper into the ground, right? Like into a quicksand. If the earth is not giving back how much I weigh, I keep sinking down. Now, reverse that question. What if the earth is giving back more than my weight? Earth is giving back more than what you weigh. If the earth is giving back more than 150 pounds and I weigh 150 pounds, that means the earth is going to be pushing me up, 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 and up. So it's very convenient that the earth is only giving back exactly what we weigh. Happy accident, baby. Okay. So the idea is that whatever you weigh, you're getting that much pressure back up underneath your feet, if you're standing, underneath whatever part of your body you're connecting to the ground. Earth is giving that much back. That's why you're in stasis. That's why you're stable. You're not going up, you're not going down. So that 100 pounds, 200 pounds, we can use that in our structure, in our stability, and even in movement. We can maintain that support in our movement if we keep all that alignment good. That's why we spend so much time in alignment and structure, so that even when we go into movement, we can have that ground force, we can have the ground supporting us, not just being stationary, but in movement. So see if you can feel the pressure underneath your body, underneath your legs, hips, and feel and allow that to work up through your body so it's straightening you and supporting you. Eventually, you'll be able to feel that ground force, developing a ground path right up through your body, right to the top of the head, eventually. And so it aligns you, straightens you, and opens you up right through your structure, right to the very top. So you're supported and integrated literally from the bottom up to the very top. So see if you can feel that ground support and have that support you all the way up and through your structure. Now, when you can start to do that even a little bit, then you can afford to relax. Because as long as you're not doing that, as long as you don't have good alignment and using the support of the ground, you have to hold on. You have to use your muscles to hold you up. And so you have to hold in, hold on, hold up. You have to, because you're holding yourself up, because you're not using the support of the ground. So once you start to develop this alignment and willing connection to the ground, now you can afford to relax. Now you have something that you can let go of that you couldn't let go of before. You couldn't let go of it because you needed to hold on and be tight to hold yourself up. Now you don't need to be holding tight muscularly to hold yourself up because you have something else that can support you and eventually even align you properly. Now I know you're sitting in Seiza, so it might be awkward, but if you have any questions, feel free to jump in. I think everybody's off mute. Maybe if you're not, feel free to do that anytime. So that's why practicing sitting can be a big part of our practice, not just standing, but sitting. You do this in a chair as well. Are you slumped in a chair? Are you using the chair to support you completely? Or can you sit in the chair just like you sit in Seiza, align your hips, rotate your hips to elongate the spine, and then consciously relax down into the ground or the chair. And then that, when you relax down into the ground or the chair, then you can allow that force to come back up through your body from the ground, from the chair. Instead of holding up, relaxing down. Let's just try this a little bit, contrasting. Hold yourself up and quite exaggerated. Tight, weight upper side. Some of you have heard that term. We want to be weight underside, right? Weight underside. So on purpose. So weight underside is basically relaxation, settledness. So uptight, holding in, holding up, weight upper side. Now, relax your body, relax your muscles like your muscles are melting, but keep your skeleton very, very, very vertical. Keep your skeleton very tall and light, aligned vertically as you let the muscles relax down and off. Now let's do that again. Hold in, hold up, Hold yourself up. Sit up like we normally do, or maybe even exaggerate it a bit more. Holding in, holding up. And now let all that relax down, pour down, but you keep your skeleton very aligned, very upright, straight, and light. So the skeleton, especially the spine, is pointing straight up. We let the muscles just relax down. And one more time, use your muscles to hold up. Sit, stand, in this case, sit, using the muscles. Then let the muscles pour down, but keep the skeleton very bright and sharp and vertical. And the more you can relax down, the more you give your weight to the ground, and the more the ground can give back up through you. And again, now you can afford to release the abdomen. You can afford to let the shoulders rest down because you're not holding yourself up. Okay. Now, through movement, we want to keep the connection to the ground and keep our alignment. So let's stand up very, very slowly and see if every millimeter along the way and every millisecond along the way as we stand up very slowly, if you continue to use the ground to support you to help you stand up. And just as good is to notice when you pull away from the ground, because that's going to happen. That's what we do. Just like when we sit or stand, we stand up, in and up. When we come up off the ground, we're going to hike up. We're going to pull up. We're going to disconnect, disintegrate our body and disconnect from the ground. So notice when that happens, because it will happen to one degree or another. Do your best, the best you can to, even as you go up, you stay relaxed down and let the ground push you up into a standing. So let's start that very slowly. How much can I relax down? Give you a little tip. It's if you do down first, you get the up from the ground. If you focus or intend down, releasing down, relaxing down, then you can kind of catch that ground force pushing back up. So I release down and I let the earth push me up to the knees. Now it's going to get a little harder because now we use one leg and our body gets a little bit separated very easily. I release down, let the ground push up the other leg, and then maybe even harder, pushing down to come up. I push down, let the earth, let the ground push me up. And let's see if we can maintain some of that in the standing. Okay. See how much you've kept in the standing. Are you a little bit up, or are you still relaxed down, letting the ground force enter your body? Now let's try that a few times. So, but even going down, let's go fairly slowly so you can let the ground ease you down. So you, in other words, maintain your connection and your alignment to the ground. So that's why we need to work slow, steady speed. So we notice when we disconnect, see if we can get the connection back again. Okay, now, as we often do, let's use a very valuable teaching tool of contrasting. Let's come up again, but this time do it the normal way. And you can exaggerate a little bit to make it really obvious, where you're going to pull yourself up. You're going to hike up, you're going to pull yourself up. You're not going to come up using the ground at all. You're going to kind of be pulled away from the ground, which is more normal, right? So come up, notice what happens. You'll probably notice your shoulders hike up as soon as you try to come up. When I lift the leg, I notice my stomach pulls in, things pull up. Here especially, things pull up and hike up. And I know some of you are less graceful coming up when you do that, right? Okay, and notice when you stand up, you probably still have some of that upness, right? You still have a lot of that upness probably. So let's relax, hang out, That's why we talk about hanging from the string. That's just a trick to get the mind to release, get the muscles to relax down and not be in and up. So let's slowly go down. Invite the ground. Let yourself use the ground even to go down. So let's contrast that. So before we try to come up, let's try to get a good system. Relax down, let the shoulders sit, abdomen release. The muscles, we have kind of a strange imagery, strange phrase we use in internal arts. The muscles are hanging from the bones. The muscles are like warm rubber, just hanging off the bones. It's a strange idea, but that helps the mind to trigger the muscles to let go. Because if we're not doing that, the muscles are always tight and hanging on. And that again separates us, upper and lower body, separates us from the ground. Muscles are hanging off the bones, but the bones are not drooping at all. Muscles are drooping, hanging, but the bones are not drooping. Bones are very vertical, very sharp, very upright. So our posture is not drooping at all, but the muscles are soft and relaxed. That allows us to connect more to the ground, to feel more of that pressure on the bottom. And I want that pressure to move up to straighten my posture even more. And then even more challenging, can I use that to move me? In this case, up. So when I come up, I don't want to come up. I relax down, I press down, I relax down, press down, and I let the earth push me up. Let the ground push me up. Now it's trickier because we're using one leg now, but do the best you can. Release down, let the ground push that leg up. Then as you push down into the ground with your foot and the lower leg, the other leg, press down, let the ground push you up. Let the ground push you up, let the ground push you up and move up through you. And see if you can keep some of that in your standing.
So Sensei, that feels, like a possible thing rising through gravity. How do you connect in the lowering? Like it feels like going down, it's like all of my body mass and 2 points of contact. Doesn't feel like a fair fight for ground force to do much for me.
For going down?
Yeah.
Right. So that's a really good question. So absolutely, it's going to be harder to get a conscious sense of the ground force supporting you and even helping you lower going down. Absolutely. So the way to access it, the way to have a chance of accessing it, and may or may not happen today, but the doorway to accessing it is simple. Go much, 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 much slower. So when you drop down, go way slower. Because if you just go down at regular speed, there's no way you'll catch it. That's just the same reason why we do our techniques most of the time really slow, right, Senpai? Even when we're fairly experienced, senior student, most of the time we're doing our movements and our techniques slow. Sometimes we want to speed them up, and sometimes we want to go full speed to make sure we can take all these principles into action. Most of the time it's steady speed and it's very slow. And most of the time we're still not going slow enough. So this is a perfect example when things are really subtle, even more challenging to get a sense of. We slow down way, way more. We slow down, slow down, slow down. So if I even go down at even a much slower pace than regular, it's still going to be very hard. I do notice tension. I'm noticing tension, places tightening up that I probably wouldn't have noticed going a little faster. But to tell you the truth, it's still too fast to really get a sense of the connection of the earth, the ground force. I need to go much, much slower. I need to go very, very, very slow. Now this may or may, it will make sense eventually. You have to wait for it. We go slow, slow, slow to the point where you're almost stopping. In fact, if we had more time, if we're doing like a weekend training, we had a lot more time to work on these things, that's exactly what I'd have us do. Pausing, stopping at certain levels. The slowness, the super slowness, and or the pausing is literally waiting for, not for the ground force to work, because it's always working, waiting for us to be able to catch it in terms of sensing it. So when I go down slow, I'm going now slow enough where I can feel it now filling me. I can feel it now responding back. I can feel it now giving back. But if I went any faster than this, it's real easy to lose it. And if I lose it, I'll stop. Oh, there it is again. I caught it again. Now that's not going to help you if you haven't had a sense of the ground connection yet. But as soon as you get some understanding of it, this is what will get you deeper and deeper and deeper. So let's go down and go, in fact, go super slow and keep your mind open, ready and willing to feel the push of the ground pushing you back up, even as you drop down. So very, very slow. Release the abdomen, wait for the ground force to feel it. So it really underscores the importance of going slow. It underscores and highlights the primacy of slow, steady speed. Slow, super slow speed is the doorway to discovering these principles, actualities, realities. You'll never get them going at a regular speed. And sometimes we have to go even slower than what we normally would think of as slow. So let's come up again as best we can using the ground force, and maybe this will give you more permission to come up much slower as well. Go ahead, study on your way. Release down first, release down, and let the ground push you up. And once you get a sense of this more and more, it triggers more relaxation, and it triggers your body to open and empty. An open and empty body may or may not make sense to you right now, but these are the things that start to happen when you use things like ground force. You can actually start to open and empty the body. Open and empty the body. It feels very vibrant, very light, yet grounded. It's not an intellectual thing that happens from inside the body. It feels very, very good. It's very, very cool. It feels very interesting. But those things only start to happen once we start taking the time to tune into these principles. So let's go down again, very, very slow, super slow, and let the ground force move up through you as you drop down. So even sitting down, I'm letting the ground force move up through my body even as I sit down. That's emptying the body. So a ground force empties the body. This sounds very strange, but eventually you will experience this. As I go down and I let the ground force go up through me, when I say it opens and empties the body, it's like a straw cleaner moving up through my body. Empties and purifies the body alignment and density. Now, maybe one more time, let's contrast. Forget about all that and come up normally. Don't even try to exaggerate, perhaps. Just come up normally. Notice the tensions, though. Keep your awareness in your body so you notice the tensions, the hiking, the pulling. And all the efforts here in the body. It sounds strange, but eventually you put the work into the ground. And it does the work for you. We have to do the work of the alignment and really, really, really pay attention. That's a lot of work. But we can really be supported and even moved by the ground. Right now, coming up, all that was in, not only in your body, but also very tight. Maybe you notice your stomach was tight when you pulled up, shoulders, probably noticed you wavered a little bit. Now, go down normally. Go down normally and notice what happened. Notice you're bracing as you go down. Notice you're bracing, you're holding as you go down. You might have even held your breath a tiny bit, right? Did you notice your breath? It probably changed. Probably got tighter. Come back up. Just normal. Go back down, normal. Notice your breathing. Notice your stomach and your breathing. Right? Same thing, come up normal. Notice your solar plexus and your breathing when you come up. Now let me ask you, did you notice what happened to your breathing? Did it get a little tighter?
Yeah, it stopped in the middle.
And maybe even stopped. Anybody else notice that? I definitely noticed that for sure. Because it's normal. When I choose to do it in a normal way, for sure I notice that it even stops a little bit. It will because it's normal. But then the question I have is, we're just going down and coming up. I'm just sitting down and standing up. Why should my breath be compromised? Why should our breath be compromised when we're simply sitting down and standing up? It's not just a simple movement like that. Imagine you're reaching up to a high cupboard in your kitchen, reaching for a glass at the very highest cupboard. Do it in a normal way. So do it now. Reach up for that glass. Come on, Senpai, let's see you do it. Reach up for that glass. Now notice your stomach, your solar plexus, and your breathing when you do that. Reach with the other hand. Try that a couple more times. Notice your solar plexus and your breathing. What happens to your breathing and solar plexus?
Yeah, it stops, right? Like you hold it to reach.
Exactly. Now, so all these things that we're doing, develop these internal martial art principles, are very difficult, especially on the mental realm. It takes a lot of concentration. We got to go super slow. We have to go artificially slow. We have to go unnaturally slow. And we have to parse it down to minuscule details of noticing. That's a lot of work. Why the heck do we want to do all that? Well, here's a very simple reason. Why should we be having to compromise something as natural as breathing, something as crucial to our health as breathing, just doing a simple action? The same thing happens when you reach for a doorknob to simply open a door. Same thing happens. Same thing happens when you step into your car. Same thing happens when you simply do the simplest action of sitting into your office chair. Why is something that's so integral to our health and so intrinsic to our energy and health as our breathing, why is that compromised doing the simplest and most common of movements? It's because we're not truly natural. We're not truly integrated. We're not truly unified. We're not truly free. So the irony is we have to do all this training, this internal martial arts training, to come back to integration, to simply come back to a relaxation, a holistic relaxation. Not a normal relaxation, but a holistic, vibrant relaxation. Ironically, it takes a lot of training and study to come back to this holistic naturalness. So I'm not compromising myself just going through life. Let me ask you this. So if you noticed a little tightening of your stomach and breath going down and coming up, something even more easy, reaching for a glass. And if you can imagine reaching for a doorknob, the same thing's happening. trying to think of even a simpler movement we do every day. Brushing your teeth, just picking up the toothbrush. The same compromising is happening maybe on a smaller level. So my point is, how many times a day is that happening? Literally thousands. Thousands of times a day, we are tightening the breath, cutting off our life flow, interrupting our health flow, thousands of times a day in everything we do. So ironically, it's coming to have to do the study to learn to relax and open up. And so we can connect to nature, the universe, the ground, and it can support us and help us. So let's do this again, going down nice and slow. And now that we know the importance of connecting to these principles, it might motivate us to go really slow, slow enough where I can start to either catch the ground force coming up through my body, or just as good, noticing how I'm not doing it. I'm tightening, holding, including the breath. Notice how much you lost. That's okay. Being aware of not doing it correctly is just as good as getting it. That's on the way to getting it. Now, one more time, let's do the best we can to come up, hanging from the string. Again, that's a useful tip. Let the weight drop, but the skeleton stays upright. Press down, release down, press down to let the ground push you up. You don't have to do it. You have to relax and release and press down. Yes, but the ground pushes you up. See if you can do that for the next stage. Bring the foot up. Don't bring the leg up. Don't bring the leg up. Press down to have the leg pushed up. Then when you stand up all the way, don't pull up. Press down so you're pushed up from the ground. Okay, let's bring that into the standing. Now we can start class. We only have 5 minutes left, but this is where we would start class from when we go into arm swings. We're doing all that work. It's from here that we start class. It's from here we start our warm-ups and our techniques and our movements from that quality, from that study. So am I throwing my upper body around? Am I throwing my weight around? That's normal, but we don't want to do that. I want to let the ground press me and push me. Then once I can start to do that to a certain extent, I can relax more. Because until I have that connection with the ground, let the ground do that work, there's no way that you can really truly relax because you're doing it. You're doing it. You can't relax. But if I can start to align myself so I can connect to the ground, press down so the ground presses back into me, then my muscles and my body can relax. Now it has a possibility of relaxing because I don't have to do it muscularly. Now let's just do forward and back, sort of like Minucci, but it's still an arm swing. And each time, relax more into the ground, press the front foot into the ground, press the back foot into the ground, press the front foot in the ground to send you back, press the back foot in the ground to send you forward. Use the ground. Now this is very, very martial. Now, if you're starting to think, okay, well, being healthy, that's good, but especially if you're very, very young, probably feel pretty healthy, you haven't had a problem with health, but you can always get better in your breathing and your health and your alignment. But beyond that, this is all very, very martial. In internal martial arts, when you have to strike, internal martial arts, very different than external martial arts. External martial arts like karate, taekwondo, use your legs and your hips. And of course, we talk about that because you want good body mechanics and good body alignment and good body unity. But Aikido and internal martial arts like Aikido and Tai Chi goes deeper, deeper, deeper than just using your muscles and your body in an integrated, unified way. And internal martial arts, you can actually strike something with the ground. So if you weigh 100 pounds or 150 pounds or 200 pounds, there's only a certain amount that you can punch with, a certain amount of force. Maximum, if you weigh 150 pounds, the maximum you can hit with is 150 pounds. But you probably can't use all that 150 pounds because you probably can't get all of your weight to the end of that strike. You probably can't get it all there. But in internal martial arts, we learn to get it all there. If I weigh 150 pounds, internal martial arts, I learned to get all 150 pounds to that striking point because I've learned to empty and open my body. I've learned to empty, relax, release, and open my body so the force can move through freely, not get stuck in muscle tension. But more than that, if I weigh 150 pounds, I can strike with more than 150 pounds and potentially way more than 150 pounds because I'm punching with the earth. The ground is punching through me. So then I can punch with even more than what I weigh because I've learned to open the body and access another support. So it's not just punching, but also receiving. I can receive a lot of pressure because I'm not fighting it with my upper body. It can go through me into the ground. And if I want to, it can come back from the ground. Okay, so let's finish with a little bit of breathing. Settled in the center. Open. In this case, let's talk about opening from the ground, relaxing back to the ground, just so we're staying with the same focus. Breathing in, opening, expanding from the ground, relaxing back to the ground. Try to take this throughout your day. Walk from the ground, move from the ground. Notice when you leave it. Notice when you separate from the ground because of tension. Good. Let's bow out.